When I graduated from college, I got an offer to join a big tech company as a software engineer. When I first received the offer, I was really, really happy because I had been applying to their internship roles many, many times over the years, and I got rejected every single time. So I was really happy to just be part of the company, especially in my first full time job out of college. And when I first started, I felt like it was like the best job in the world. I had a good and stable pay, free food, amazing benefits, generous healthcare, and I was going on fully sponsored business trips every other month. While I did work hard, I surprisingly had good work life balance as well. My bosses didn't micromanage me, and I was getting above average performance reviews consecutively. But just before I was about to be promoted, I walked away. So, a couple of months before I left, I actually lost someone really, really important to me. And I had many revelations and learnings from that, but one of the key questions I started to ask myself was, how was I truly spending my time here? I began to look at what I was doing at work and seeing how I was working on things that were important because my boss told me they were important. And they were important to my boss because his boss told him they were important, all the way to the top. So, regardless of whether they were important or not, I started to see that I was actually building someone else's dreams, not mine. And ultimately, I was trading my time for money instead of building assets and leverage that could compound and generate wealth over time. Basically, starting a business. Now, I was interviewing for a couple of jobs back then, but even if I were to jump to a higher paying job in the future and enjoy the perks and benefits in the start, I predict that I'll still feel the same way 1 year in. So I was looking at all the different companies I was interviewing for, and there were companies that were offering 2 times more than what I was currently getting, companies that had amazing flexible remote working arrangements, lucrative and prestigious companies based in New York, in the US. And I decided that I didn't want to work or optimize for the next better paying job. It's better if I optimize for being able to own and create my own assets and business. And so, with that resolve in mind or that naivety in mind, I cancelled all remaining interviews with all the different companies and jumped in the deep end of the pool and basically bet on myself. So, although it's slightly easier for me to embark on this journey because I'm not married, I don't have kids, I don't have a house that I need to finance, but there's still a lot of things that I needed to think about. As the elder son of the family, I had to ensure that I continue giving monthly allowance to my family and pay for all the house bills every month. And whenever possible, I would eat home cooked meals because not only is it cheaper, my mom also makes really healthy and yummy food. So I'm really, really grateful for the support. So when I quit, a lot of people thought I was insane. And fair enough, because I had my doubts too. So when I left, I wanted to quickly prove to myself that I could create value for other people all on my own. The first successful tool that I built was an AI voice tool to help certain businesses in Singapore cold call their prospects better. And it was really fun because I was able to leverage like the latest AI coding models to create all of this in just under a week. That allowed me to gain a couple of $100 in passive recurring revenue without me having to touch it again. When I first earned that bit of money, it wasn't about the amount, but it was about what it meant. I remember spending so much time and effort and long nights doing things for my company, but I didn't really truly own them. And in fact, after I left, I got none of the upside of whatever I've built for them. But now, the assets that I built can continue to give back long after the hours that I put in. And the more I started to pursue my own thing, the more I started to see how much I truly didn't know. And I really, really needed to rewire my brain. So I turned to books. I stopped reading about algorithms and software and started studying how people think: sales, psychology, business, storytelling, persuasion. I'll read anything to get me to the next level. I started my own technical consultancy, and I would read and apply everything I've learned over and over and over and over and over again. And after about 5 months of learning and growing, my business started to pick up to the point where now I have to start to think about scaling and hiring. Anyway, I created a channel to share lessons I've learned along this journey, and you can take a look at it at defy.work. So, more than just the money, I was picking up skills that I would never have learned as an employee. And my growth wasn't just limited to a job description. It feels like the world just opened up because every skill I learn gives me a bit more freedom, the freedom to decide what I want to work on, how I want to make money, and where I want to take my life next. It also became even more clear that freedom wasn't just about quitting a job. It was about being able to spend time on work I actually care about, on things that matter to me, on things that I can shape. So, things like pursuing hobbies with my loved ones or challenging myself in meaningful ways. This act of betting and advocating for myself also started spilling into other areas of my life. I trust my judgment more. I make decisions without overthinking what others might think. And I feel this baseline level of confidence that I never felt before. Anyway, that's where I'm at and still figuring it out. At least I'm figuring out my own problems instead of someone else's. And the worst case is, I go back to employment, but with so much more skills than when I left. And honestly, I think that's a risk worth taking.